So there's this handbag that costs more than most people's cars. We're talking anywhere from $10,000 to over $200,000. For a bag. The Hermès Birkin has become this legendary status symbol, and honestly, the waiting list alone is kind of insane. Celebrities carry them, collectors obsess over them, and resale prices? They often go up, not down. Which is wild when you think about it, because most things lose value the second you walk out of the store. The whole Birkin story starts with, believe it or not, a plane ride in 1984. Jane Birkin, the British-French actress and singer, was sitting next to Jean-Louis Dumas, who was the CEO of Hermès at the time. She was complaining about how she couldn't find a good leather weekend bag. Her stuff kept falling out of her bag, papers everywhere, total mess. Dumas apparently just listened and sketched something out right there on the plane. That's how the Birkin bag was born. To understand why Birkins are so expensive, you need to know a bit about Hermès itself. This isn't some brand that started making handbags last decade. Hermès was founded in 1837 in Paris, originally as a harness and saddle workshop for European nobility. We're talking almost 200 years of working with leather. That heritage, that expertise with leather goods, it's baked into everything they do. The company has always been about quality over quantity, and that philosophy hasn't changed. Here's where it gets interesting. Each Birkin bag is made by a single artisan from start to finish. Not a factory line where one person does the stitching and another does the handles. One person. That artisan is responsible for the entire bag, and their mark goes inside it. This isn't some symbolic thing either. These craftspeople train for years, literally years, before they're allowed to make a Birkin. We're talking about an investment in human skill that most companies just don't do anymore. When I say years of training, I mean it. A Hermès artisan typically trains for about 5 years before they're trusted to work on certain pieces. They start with simpler items and gradually work their way up. The Birkin is considered one of the most complex pieces to create. You can't just walk in knowing how to sew and start making Birkins. The techniques are proprietary, passed down through generations of craftspeople. It's almost like an apprenticeship system from centuries ago, which, by the way, is pretty rare in modern manufacturing. Every single stitch on a Birkin is done by hand. Not by machine. By hand, with a saddle stitch technique that Hermès has used since its saddle-making days. This saddle stitch actually creates a stronger seam than machine stitching because if one thread breaks, the whole thing doesn't unravel. It's a functional choice, not just decorative. But here's the thing, it's incredibly time-consuming. Each stitch has to be perfectly placed, perfectly tensioned. There's no rushing this process. So how long does it actually take to make one Birkin? Between 18 and 24 hours of work. That's not 18 hours in a day, obviously. It's spread across several days, sometimes weeks, because certain processes need time. The leather needs to rest, glues need to cure, the artisan needs to work on multiple pieces. But we're talking about a full work week, minimum, dedicated to creating a single handbag. When you think about it that way, the price starts making a bit more sense. Let's talk about the leather itself, because not all leather is created equal. Hermès is incredibly picky about the leather they use. They source from specific tanneries, many of which they actually own or have exclusive partnerships with. The most common Birkin leather is called Togo, which has a slightly grainy texture. Then there's Clemence, which is softer. Epsom is more structured. Each leather type has different characteristics, different feels, different levels of durability. And that's just the standard leathers. Then you've got the exotic skins, and this is where prices really skyrocket. We're talking crocodile, alligator, ostrich, lizard. These exotic Birkins can easily cost over $100,000, sometimes over $200,000. The crocodile versions are particularly prized. Niloticus crocodile and Porosus crocodile are the most expensive. The scales have to be perfectly symmetrical, no blemishes, no imperfections. Finding hides that meet Hermès standards is extremely difficult, which is part of why they're so expensive. Now, exotic skins are obviously controversial, and that's worth addressing. Hermès maintains that all their exotic leathers come from farms that follow international regulations, and they're certified by CITES, which is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. They claim full traceability on their supply chain. That said, animal rights groups have raised concerns over the years about the conditions on some farms. It's a complicated issue, and opinions vary pretty widely on whether using exotic skins can ever be ethical, even with regulations in place. Even the hardware on a Birkin is special. The metal parts, the clasps, the locks, the little feet on the bottom, they're all plated with precious metals. You can get palladium, which is a silvery finish, or gold plating. Some special editions even have white gold or rose gold hardware. The lock and keys aren't just decorative either. They're functional, and each set is unique to that specific bag. The attention to detail extends to every single component, no matter how small. Here's a huge factor in the price: scarcity. Hermès deliberately limits how many Birkins they make. There's no official number they release, but estimates suggest they produce only around 12,000 Birkins per year globally. For context, Louis Vuitton makes hundreds of thousands of bags annually. Hermès could absolutely scale up production if they wanted to. They choose not to. This controlled scarcity is absolutely intentional. It keeps demand high, maintains exclusivity, and protects the brand's luxury positioning. And here's something wild: you can't just walk into Hermès and buy a Birkin, even if you have the money. They're not displayed on the floor. You can't order one online. You have to build a relationship with the store, which usually means buying other Hermès products first. Scarves, belts, jewelry, home goods. You're essentially proving you're a dedicated customer before they'll even offer you the opportunity to purchase a Birkin. Some people wait years and never get offered one. There's this thing collectors call the quota system. Even when you do have a relationship with a store, there's supposedly a limit to how many Birkins or Kellys, which is another famous Hermès bag, you can buy per year. The rumor is 2 bags per year, but Hermès has never officially confirmed this. It's all very secretive, very exclusive. Different stores seem to have different policies. What's clear is that Hermès controls the flow of these bags very carefully, and customers, even wealthy ones, have to play by their rules. So here's something interesting that separates Birkins from most luxury goods: they actually appreciate in value. Not all of them, but many do. A study by Bag Hunter found that Birkin bags have consistently increased in value, outperforming both the stock market and gold over certain periods. Some rare colors or exotic skins can double or triple in value. Obviously, this doesn't apply to every single Birkin, but the rarest ones? They're legitimate investment pieces. People treat them like art or collectible cars. The resale market for Birkins is absolutely wild. In 2017, a Himalaya Birkin made from Niloticus crocodile with white gold and diamond hardware sold at auction for over $300,000. $300,000 for a handbag. That's not even the ceiling. These bags regularly sell at auction for 6 figures. Christie's and Sotheby's have entire auctions dedicated to Hermès handbags. When was the last time you heard about an auction for used Coach bags? It's a completely different category of luxury. Not all Birkin colors are created equal in terms of value. Hermès releases certain colors in limited quantities or for limited times. Classic neutrals like black, gold, and taupe are always available and hold value well. But then you've got rare colors like rose Tyrian, blue indigo, or vert cypress that were only produced for short periods. These rare colors command huge premiums on the resale market. Collectors will pay significantly more for a discontinued color, especially in exotic leather. The color alone can add tens of thousands to the price. Birkins come in several sizes, and size affects both functionality and price. The most common sizes are 25, 30, and 35 centimeters, referring to the width of the bag. There's also a 40 centimeter, which is pretty substantial, and a tiny 20 centimeter. The 35 is probably the most popular because it's the most practical for everyday use. The smaller sizes, particularly the 20, are actually rarer and can be harder to find, which sometimes makes them more expensive despite using less leather. Go figure. If you're really in with Hermes, you might get offered something called a special order or HSS, which stands for Horseshoe Stamp Special. This is where you can customize your Birkin. You choose the leather, the color, the hardware, even do combinations like two-tone color blocking. These special orders are incredibly rare opportunities. Not every customer gets offered them, and there's often a long wait. But a well-executed special order Birkin, especially in unusual color combinations, can become extremely valuable on the resale market. Hermes quality control is notoriously strict. If a bag doesn't meet their standards at any point during production, it gets scrapped. Not sold as a second. Not sold at an outlet. Scrapped. The leather, the stitching, the hardware alignment, everything has to be perfect. This zero-tolerance policy for imperfections means a certain percentage of bags that are started never make it to sale. That cost is built into the price of the bags that do make it through. It's expensive to maintain that level of quality. The resale market for Birkins has created a huge counterfeit problem. Fake Birkins are everywhere, and some of them are pretty convincing. Authentication has become this whole specialized field. Professional authenticators look at dozens of details: the stitching pattern, the font on the stamp, the weight of the hardware, even the smell of the leather. Hermes changes small details regularly, partly to stay ahead of counterfeiters. If you're buying a used Birkin, you absolutely need to get it authenticated by a professional, preferably multiple professionals. Let's be honest, part of what you're paying for is the name. Hermes has spent nearly 2 centuries building their reputation. The brand signaling that comes with carrying a Birkin is significant. People recognize it. It communicates wealth, taste, status. That brand equity is valuable, and Hermes knows it. Could another company make a similarly well-crafted bag for less money? Probably. But it wouldn't be a Birkin. It wouldn't have the history, the prestige, the social currency. That intangible value is very real in the luxury market. Hermes doesn't pay celebrities to carry Birkins. They don't need to. Celebrities buy them because they want them. Victoria Beckham reportedly has over 100 Birkins. Kim Kardashian has dozens. Jennifer Lopez, Cardi B, Kylie Jenner, the list goes on. Every time a celebrity is photographed with a Birkin, that's free advertising worth millions. And because Hermes maintains their scarcity model, that celebrity visibility actually increases demand among everyone else who can't get one. It's brilliant marketing without spending a dollar on marketing. Let's talk about those infamous waiting lists. Officially, Hermes says there are no waiting lists. But ask anyone who's tried to buy a Birkin, and they'll tell you that's not really how it works in practice. You might be told a bag is available in 6 months, or a year, or 2 years. Or you might be told they'll call you when something comes in, which could be never. The uncertainty is part of the mystique, honestly. It makes finally getting one feel like an achievement, not just a purchase. Interestingly, it can be easier to get a Birkin in certain countries than others. Paris, being the home of Hermes, might seem like the best place, but it's incredibly competitive there. Some people have had luck in smaller markets, or at airport boutiques where there's less regular clientele. Dubai is known for having good Hermes stock. Tax-free shopping in certain countries can also make a difference in final price. There's this whole strategy to trying to acquire a Birkin that involves geography, timing, and frankly, a bit of luck. Owning a Birkin isn't like owning a regular bag. These things require care. Leather needs conditioning. Exotic skins are particularly delicate. Rain can damage them if you're not careful. Hermès offers spa services where they'll clean and restore your bag, but these services aren't cheap. People buy dust bags, store them properly, some even keep them in climate-controlled environments. When you're dealing with something that costs as much as a car, you protect it like a car. Or honestly, better than most people protect their cars. A lot of Birkin owners actually insure their bags. You can get specialty insurance for high-value handbags, separate from your homeowner's or renter's policy. These policies cover theft, damage, even mysterious disappearance in some cases. The premiums are based on the appraised value, which for rare Birkins can be substantial. There are companies that specialize in luxury goods insurance. When you think about it, it makes sense. If you own something worth $50,000 or more, you probably want it insured, whether it's a watch, a piece of art, or a handbag. Hermès has another iconic bag called the Kelly, named after Grace Kelly. It's almost as famous as the Birkin and faces similar scarcity. The Kelly is a bit more structured, more formal-looking, with a single top handle rather than two. Some people prefer it, some prefer the Birkin. The Kelly is generally slightly less expensive, but not by a huge margin. Both bags have that same Hermès prestige, the same craftsmanship, the same waiting game. If you're after Hermès quality but can't get a Birkin, the Kelly is the other holy grail. The secondary market for Birkins is huge and surprisingly organized. Sites like Fashionphile, Rebag, and The RealReal specialize in authenticated luxury resale. Then you've got traditional auction houses. Some boutique consignment stores focus exclusively on Hermès. Prices on the secondary market often exceed retail, especially for discontinued colors or exotic skins. People who manage to buy Birkins at retail can turn around and sell them for profit. It's one of the few consumer goods where that's reliably possible. There's real psychology behind why we want things we can't have. Hermès understands this deeply. The harder something is to get, the more we value it. It's not just about the bag itself, it's about the exclusivity, the story of how you got it, the membership in this elite club of Birkin owners. If Hermès made these bags readily available, would they still be as desirable? Probably not. The scarcity isn't a bug in their business model, it's the entire point. They've essentially turned shopping into a status achievement. Not everyone is on board with the Birkin phenomenon. Critics argue it's wasteful consumerism, that no bag should cost more than a house in some places. There've been lawsuits about the purchasing practices, with some customers claiming the requirement to buy other products first is anti-competitive. Animal rights activists continue to protest the use of exotic skins. And there's the broader question of what it says about society that we assign this much value to a handbag. These are fair criticisms that get raised whenever we talk about ultra-luxury goods. Sustainability is a complicated topic with Birkins. On one hand, these bags are built to last generations. They're not fast fashion. People pass them down as heirlooms. That longevity is arguably sustainable. On the other hand, the exotic skins raise environmental concerns, and leather production in general has a significant environmental footprint. Hermès has made some sustainability commitments, but whether an inherently luxury product can ever be truly sustainable is debatable. It's a tension that exists across the entire high-end fashion industry. While Birkins are predominantly associated with women, there's a growing men's market. Men have been buying smaller leather goods from Hermès forever, but carrying Birkins was less common. That's changing. Male collectors are getting into the game, and Hermès has styles that are marketed as more unisex. The 40 cm size particularly appeals to men. Celebrities like Drake and Lil Uzi Vert have been photographed with Birkins. The men's luxury handbag market in general is growing, and Hermès is positioned to capitalize on that shift. Other luxury brands have tried to create their own ultra-exclusive bags. Chanel has the classic flap, which has also appreciated in value. Louis Vuitton has limited editions. But nothing has quite replicated the Birkin phenomenon. Part of it is that Hermès was first in really perfecting this scarcity model. Part of it is the craftsmanship heritage that other brands can't easily replicate. A lot of luxury houses are owned by conglomerates now, but Hermès is still largely family-controlled, which allows them to maintain their long-term approach rather than chasing quarterly profits. The Birkin has transcended fashion to become a cultural reference point. It shows up in songs, TV shows, movies. There's an entire Sex and the City episode about it. Rappers name-drop Birkins in lyrics constantly. It's shorthand for wealth and success in popular culture. The phrase Birkin bag means something even to people who have no interest in fashion. That level of cultural penetration is rare for a product. It's up there with Rolex or Rolls-Royce as a universally recognized status symbol. Social media has amplified Birkin culture dramatically. Instagram is full of accounts dedicated to Hermès bags, showing different colors, sizes, comparisons. YouTube has unboxing videos that get millions of views. TikTok has Birkin content creators. This visibility has made the bags even more desirable, especially among younger luxury consumers. It's also made the secondary market more transparent. You can see what prices bags actually sell for, what colors are trending. Social media has democratized information about a very undemocratic product. There's this interesting tension in the Birkin world between buying as investment and buying to use. Some collectors never even take the plastic off the hardware, keeping bags in perfect, untouched condition to maximize resale value. Others actually use their Birkins daily, accumulating wear and patina. There's debate in the community about which approach is right. Is it sad to own something beautiful and never use it? Or is it foolish to risk devaluing a major asset? There's no clear answer, and it probably comes down to why you bought it in the first place. Hermès is thinking long-term about keeping the Birkin relevant. They've introduced new colors regularly to keep things fresh. They've experimented with new hardware finishes. There are occasionally limited editions or collaborations, though Hermès is much more conservative about this than other luxury brands. The challenge is evolving without losing what makes a Birkin a Birkin. So far, they've managed it. The bags appeal to Gen Z luxury consumers as much as they did to their parents' generation. That staying power across demographics is remarkable. The Birkin bag represents a very specific type of luxury that might not have a place in the future, or might become even more valuable. We're in this moment where values are shifting. Younger consumers say they care more about sustainability and ethics. But they also show strong interest in luxury goods and status symbols. How that tension resolves will shape the future of brands like Hermès. Will the craftsmanship and quality be enough to justify the price and practices? Or will new models of luxury emerge that make the Birkin seem like a relic? Some economists actually watch the luxury handbag market as an economic indicator. When Birkin sales and prices are strong, it suggests wealth concentration and consumer confidence among the ultra-rich. When the market softens, it can signal broader economic concerns. The secondary market prices are particularly telling because they reflect real-time demand. It's wild that a handbag market could tell you anything about the broader economy, but at these price points, we're not really talking about fashion anymore. We're talking about assets. The success of the Birkin has influenced the entire luxury industry. Other brands have tried to replicate the scarcity model with varying success. The idea that making something harder to get increases its value is now standard practice in high-end fashion. Limited releases, exclusive collaborations, waitlists, they're all tactics borrowed from the Hermès playbook. Whether this is good for consumers is questionable, but it's undeniably been good for luxury brand profit margins. The Birkin essentially wrote the blueprint for modern ultra-luxury retail. Behind every Birkin is a story. Some people save for years to buy one. It's a life goal, a reward for a career achievement. Others inherit them from mothers or grandmothers, carrying forward a family tradition. Some people's Birkins have been through divorces, cross-country moves, major life events. For better or worse, these bags become part of people's personal narratives. At the end of the day, objects only have the meaning we give them. For Birkin owners, these bags clearly mean something significant, beyond just being a place to carry your phone and wallet. Let's be real for a second. To a lot of people, spending this kind of money on a bag is absurd. And that's a valid perspective. You could buy a reliable car, make a down payment on a house, fund a year of college, travel the world. The practical value of a Birkin compared to its cost doesn't compute in traditional terms. The arguments for it, about craftsmanship and investment value, only make sense within a certain framework of luxury consumption. If you're outside that world, it probably just seems crazy. And honestly, from certain perspectives, it kind of is. So who are the people buying Birkins? The customer base is more diverse than you might think. Yes, there are celebrities and ultra-wealthy socialites. But there are also lawyers, doctors, successful entrepreneurs who've worked their way up. There are collectors who are more interested in the bags as objects than as fashion. There are investors who view them purely as assets. In some cultures, particularly in Asia, luxury handbags are a more common form of wealth display than, say, expensive cars. The motivations are all over the place. Part of what you're paying for is the entire Hermès experience. Their stores are beautiful, the customer service is generally excellent, there's a ceremony to the whole thing. When you finally get a Birkin, it comes in an orange box with ribbons, tissue paper, the works. That unboxing moment is part of the product. Compare that to buying something online where it shows up in a beat-up cardboard box. Hermès understands that at this price point, the purchase experience itself matters. It's theater, but it's theater that people value. So after all this, are Birkins actually worth the money? That's the wrong question, honestly. Worth is subjective. To someone for whom $50,000 is an insignificant amount of money, sure, maybe it's worth it for something they'll use and enjoy. To someone for whom it represents years of savings, the calculation is different. As an investment, some Birkins clearly hold or increase value, which gives them objective worth in financial terms. As a functional bag, you could get 95% of the utility for 1% of the price. It depends entirely on what you value. If we strip away all the marketing, the scarcity tactics, the celebrity culture, what you're left with is genuinely exceptional craftsmanship. That part isn't hype. The bags really are made by highly skilled artisans using traditional techniques and premium materials. They really do last for decades if cared for properly. There really is a level of quality that justifies a premium over mass-market bags. Whether it justifies this much of a premium is where reasonable people disagree, but the baseline quality is legitimate. That's important to acknowledge in any honest assessment. When you add it all up, the price of a Birkin reflects a complex mix of factors. The hours of skilled labor. The premium materials, especially exotic skins. The controlled scarcity that maintains brand positioning. The brand heritage built over centuries. The investment value driven by resale markets. The cultural cachet and status signaling. The craftsmanship standards and quality control. Some of these factors are tangible costs, some are market positioning, some are pure brand value. It's all of it together that gets you to these prices. The Birkin embodies all the contradictions of luxury goods. It's both art and commerce. It's craftsmanship and marketing. It's exclusive yet desperately desired by masses of people. It's criticized for excess yet praised for quality. It's a bag and an investment. It's fashion and finance. These contradictions aren't problems to be solved, they're inherent to what luxury goods are in modern capitalism. The Birkin just makes all of it really obvious because the stakes, and the prices, are so high. Here's what we can say definitively. Birkin bags are expensive because they're made with exceptional skill from rare materials in limited quantities by a brand with centuries of heritage that has successfully positioned itself at the absolute top of the luxury market. They're expensive because Hermès has created and maintained a system where demand vastly outstrips supply. They're expensive because people are willing to pay these prices, and often willing to pay even more on the secondary market. Whether they should be this expensive is a different question entirely, one that's probably more philosophical than economic. At the end of the day, the conversation about Birkins is really a conversation about value, about what we choose to spend our resources on, about what we consider worth preserving and what we consider excess. It's about craftsmanship in an age of mass production. It's about exclusivity in an age that claims to value accessibility. It's about status and signaling in a society that's increasingly unequal. A Birkin bag is never just a bag. It's a mirror reflecting bigger questions about how we live now. So that's why Birkin bags cost what they cost. It's a combination of tangible factors, like craftsmanship and materials, and intangible ones, like brand value and scarcity. Whether that makes them worth it depends entirely on your perspective, your values, and frankly, your bank account. What's undeniable is that Hermès has created something that transcends the category of handbag to become a cultural phenomenon, an investment asset, and a masterclass in luxury brand management. Love them or hate them, Birkins are pretty fascinating when you break down all the factors at play.